So guys, coming to you live from TEPSA Summer Conference 2025, which is the Texas Elementary Principal Supervisor Association at the Kalahari in Round Rock, Texas, is our Love, Sweat, and Tears podcast session. And this one is called Leading with Passion, Reigniting Excitement for Your Principalship. And so we are beyond excited to have these ladies who have been champion leadership and educational excellence across their districts that have also been working on creating systems for their people. UH stepped into the educational leadership because you believed students deserve the best. And most importantly, you wanted to work on how to create equitable access for all. So we're going to step into talking about school leadership, but first, I want to have each one of you introduce who you are and where you're coming from. And we can start with you, Vanikin.
So my name is Vanikin Leggett. I am an elementary principal in Navasota at Brewerly Elementary. This is my 6th year as principal at Brewerly Elementary. 3 years before that, I was the AP at Brewerly Elementary. I taught for a year at Brewerly Elementary. And then I taught for 4 years, 3rd grade, at another elementary school in my district. The great thing is I grew up there. So I decided after college that I wanted to come back and give back. And so it's been real great.
All right. Thanks, Vanikin. And why don't you go next, Erika?
Hi, I'm Erika Garza. This is actually my 25th year in education. My first 8 years were in Northside ISD as a teacher there. I've taught 3rd grade. I was a bilingual teacher, 3rd grade, 1st grade, and then I went into integrating technology with teachers. So I did professional development, and then I moved over to Judson ISD, where I started administration. You know, it's one of those things where I always said I will never go into administration and never say never. So then before I knew it, I went into Judson and, you know, one of my leaders saw something in me and I became an assistant principal and then a principal. And just recently, this last year, another I said I would never do. I would never be in HR. And now I have just completed 1 full year in human resources in the same district where I was assistant principal and principal, Judson ISD.
Wow. We all say we aren't, you know, if people say in administration, we've gone over to the dark side. Who's really gone over to the dark side now, guys? All right, and Tanya.
And my name is Tanya Alarcon. I'm the principal at Woodlake Elementary, also in Judson ISD in the San Antonio area. I've been principal there for 3 years. I just completed my 3rd year. Before that, I was the assistant principal. Before that, I was the instructional coach, all at the same campus. I taught RTI. I was a 5th grade teacher. I taught high school. I am not from the area. I grew up in New York City, and that's actually where I started teaching, which you talk about you were never going to be in administration. I was never wanted to be a teacher. My mom is a teacher. I never wanted to be a teacher, but you can only fight that for so long.
Wow. So guys, this panel, we really wanted to focus on school leadership and how leaders can reconnect with their purpose. Most importantly, manage the burnout. The burnout is real, and we'll have different perspectives from each of you. And really, we're hoping you guys leave, and those listening are going to leave with a reunited passion for the work that you do, because the work we do in the leadership realm is so important. And I always say our democracy depends on an educated populace, and this panel and you guys in the room right now are the ones that lead that charge. And so we're going to start out with just what keeps you coming back to work even on the hard days. So let that sit for a minute. What keeps you coming back to work even on the hard days within your leadership realm? And anyone can start.
I don't mind starting. So like I said, I grew up in Navasota, which has been a super great experience. My mom worked for 40 years as a paraprofessional in Navasota, and she retired this year. And so ever since I could remember, 40 years ago, I was not born, but ever since I could remember, me and my sisters have been at a school. And so I knew then that teaching was what I wanted to do. And my mom, like I said, because my mom had done it for so long, I always asked her why she didn't want to go back to school to be a teacher. And she never decided to do that, so I felt like I was living her vision. And so that is definitely why I keep coming back, because I want to make sure that I make her proud. So.
Wow, Vanikin.
I think for me, it's been the power of influence. And that is the reason why, even though I said never say never, I started off as a teacher because I wanted to be able to influence students. Especially in, bilingual classrooms, I love my bilingual students. And as I was in that role, then later on, they asked me, oh, can you help write curriculum? This was, of course, 23 years ago, 24 years ago. And I know, I'm aging myself, but they asked me, we really don't have curriculum for any of you who have been in bilingual campuses, dual language campuses, that is in both languages. I mean, back when I was doing my student teaching, I remember staying up till 2, 3 in the morning, translating everything. It was just, it was a nightmare. And so I was very blessed that in Northside, even after being just a teacher for 1 year, they asked me to come in and write curriculum in Spanish. And so I helped to do that. But then whenever I went over and started doing, then they asked me to start doing professional development, which I did. And then when I moved over to Judson, one of my leaders saw something in me that said, you can make such a bigger difference if you are, because I said, I love teaching. I don't want to leave teaching. And they told me, but as an administrator, then you are able to influence more teachers, which are able to influence students. And I think that's what lit that spark for me. And I was super excited about that. I'll never forget when I first became a principal, I was so excited because I thought, oh my gosh, I have my very own school and I get to really influence teachers. And that was really exciting. Then one thing that I found later on down the road, when I had another person come up to me years down the road saying, have you ever considered human resources? And I was like, no, I want to be with kids and with teachers. But, seeing the challenges that we're facing now in recruiting teachers, the teacher shortage is real. I thought, well, how can I be a part of that now and try to figure out how I can help principals now recruit these teachers, and constantly thinking about growing for myself and for everyone around me. And so I think that's what definitely keeps me coming back every day, is just influencing education as a whole.
Yeah, and it's funny because you mentioned like becoming a principal, becoming an assistant principal. I feel like I became an assistant principal during COVID. Nobody knew what we were doing. We were making it up. I'm like, this is great, right? There's nothing to reach back to. And now as a principal post-COVID and all of the challenges and teacher shortage and all the pieces that comes with, and in being in my first 3 years, I have absolutely had days that have tried me. I mean, forget, coming in the morning, like leaving, you're like, do I just sleep here? Like, how does this look?
How many of y'all have ever felt like that? Do I just sleep here, right? You're like, let me just set the alarm.
I feel like I definitely know at least one principal who's actually done it. But for me, I feel like it is and it has been just a sense of ownership. Like, I have to be there. I have to show up. I have to be in the hallway. Because other people are showing up. And a lot of these people I hired. And some days they're just showing up because I told them they could do this job, right? And then just as a mom, right? I've spent 30 years telling my kids, we're outliers, we do hard things, we don't give up. Mom is not going to give up because something got hard, right? And they've told me, like, hey mom, like, you made your point, you did the public school thing, like, you can take a step back. Because that's what happens. They get older and they start trying to parent you. Spoiler.
Yeah, they do.
It happens.
It happens, yeah.
But, I'm in it until somebody takes me out. Like, that's where we're at right now.
Wow. So I think we talk about the work that you'll have done with your passion and why you're doing what you do. But what I want to hear you talk about are what are some of your non-negotiables for self-care? Because you talked about Tanya coming in during COVID, and those of us who were administrators or principals pre-COVID, during COVID, post-COVID, you can see the difference over time. And so I think there's one thing that I realized as principal when I was in the principalship is that there really had to be some non-negotiables for self-care or it wouldn't be sustainable. And so what are some things that you guys do to really talk about self-care for yourself while you're continuing the work that you're so passionate about?
I'll start on this side. So I have one day, if not a whole day, at least 12 hours where I don't work. I don't do anything related to work, unless it's like a text message from somebody who needs, But I try to stop. I also have a time in the day where I stop working. But then also I try to be, to delegate things intentionally so that I don't feel like I'm carrying it all by myself all the time. And it hasn't always been that way. It's something that I've had to learn that I will not actually be able to have every single conversation. I will not be able to check every single document. There has to be people that I trust enough to help me carry the load.
I like when you said that you have a stop time, because I don't know about any of you in the audience. When I was principal for the first probably 3 years, I would be chaperoning my daughter's band. She was a senior in high school, and I would be up in the stands checking my phone exactly, and I get that dadgum email from the parent that wants to give me feedback on everything, and I'm there physically, but mentally, I was still going back through, what do I need to say? Why didn't we do that? And I mean, I wasn't mentally present. So thank you for sharing that, Tanya, because that was something that I wish, in hindsight, I would have done a lot earlier. Having a cutoff time, 5:30. My teachers knew. Text me. If it's an emergency, text me. If it's the weekend, I'm going to stay late on a Friday night, but come Sunday night, I may scan through, but I'm not going to respond because we're also setting that tone for the self-care for our teachers. So sorry, I had to give a little input in that one. So what else have y'all done about
I think
self-care?
having balance, when I heard you talk about that, Jerry, I'll never forget my first year as principal. I was super excited, and I was at Fiesta, Texas with my kids, and I was getting phone calls about, hey, this teacher just resigned, and I was setting up interviews at Fiesta, Texas, like while I was at the lazy river. Like, no, let's not do that.
Not lazy.
Yeah, that wasn't lazy at all. And so, but it does catch up to you. So I learned throughout the years to, now I'm very good about, once I get home, I always go for a walk and just by myself to just kind of reflect on what I need to do. A lot of times too in the office, when we get super busy, I'll go and take a walk around the office. One of the things that we did that was very valuable, because I had a phenomenal assistant principal at the very last school that I was at, and she used to always tell me, stop, are you going to eat? Because she loved eating. And me, I was like, I would just grab something, eat at my desk while I was working, and I wouldn't stop. And so she taught me a very valuable lesson to just stop, just like you were saying, Tanya. And one of the things that her and I started doing were anytime we had a challenge and we couldn't figure something out, we're like, let's go for a walk. And we would go for a walk. We would go for a walk and talk around our campus. And then we'd walk the school neighborhood, because I was a principal at Coronado Village Elementary, which is a school in this nice little neighborhood, and we would just go for a walk and talk about different things, and whatever big problem that we just couldn't seem to get our heads out of. Once we finished our walk, all of a sudden it was just something about the fresh air and walking and just your blood flowing, that all of a sudden we were coming up with creative ideas on different solutions. So that was definitely something that helped me a lot as a principal, is just doing a walk and talk with my assistant principal when challenges came up.
And so I know for me, so I'm the mother of a 2-year-old, and about 3 years ago, I don't know what self-care was. So I became a principal during COVID, so it was great until March, and then all of a sudden we weren't in school anymore. And so the late nights and early mornings. And then once I had him, I took off for 6 weeks. And I told my superintendent, I was like, hey, I have the days. I never took off. I'm going to take off the whole 6 weeks I can be off.
Good for you.
That was when I realized they will get the job done. The school, I was there occasionally because I miss being at work. I really did. I miss the kids. But the school will run without me. I have set the expectations and all of the things in place that there are plenty of people to do the job at the school because they know what I expect, but we're a team, and if I'm lacking, they can pull the torch, keep the torch going. And so that in itself allowed me to know that I now have someone who's looking to me, and I have to set, the precedent of what being a good mother and what it all should look like. And so I will go to the school and stay late, but once I'm at home, I'm at home. Occasionally I check things, but my kid deserves my time, just like I would tell my teachers and my assistant principal, like, don't worry about the school. I have to do that for myself. And so once I get home, trying to focus on my family is kind of my self-care.
So what I hear you saying, Vanikin, is that you have systems set up in your school. So you had systems going so that things would be able to roll while you weren't there. And so what role does your leadership team? So each one of you has a leadership team that surrounds you and supporting your well-being. And I know, Erika, you talked about your AP and how y'all did that. Do you have a part of your leadership team, or are you the one that facilitates that within your realm? And it may just be your assistant principal, counselor. I know in elementary we don't have a lot of people, but do you have any systems set up that helps to support that within your leadership teams?
And I can start. So me and my assistant principal, she was the instructional coach when I was the AP. And then my counselor, me and my counselor became counselor and AP at the same time. And she just retired. So if you know of any counselors that are looking for a job in Navasota, send them my way because nobody is applying. And so we have built some relationships where I absolutely have no earthly idea what I would do. Now we're thinking about what are we going to do now the counselor has retired. But we work so well together, and that is reflected in the district when we're talking to other assistant principals and principals in our district about the things that are going on. And I'm looking like, I don't know how you would survive without your AP. If I can't do it, I'm calling her, we're talking, and even we're here now at TEPSA, and we're thinking about all the things we're gonna do, and somebody just making sure that everybody is learning. I know as an AP, my principal, Amy Bay, she made sure I knew every single thing that was going on the campus. Everything. She made sure that I knew about budget. She made sure I knew about school board meetings. I would go to different things with her because she wanted to set me up for success when it was time for me to become a principal. I didn't know that would happen when she left, but as I had those things in place, and I wanted to make sure that my assistant principal, if for some reason something happened and I moved somewhere else or I did something different, I know that my assistant principal would be an amazing principal because we work well together, but also making sure that she has all of those tools and skills in her toolbox so that she can be a better
So growing your
principal.
people. So you had no idea your principal before was laying the groundwork for your well-being and self-care by...
Yes.
I don't know about y'all, but I had a principal that I was the AP for, and he, bless his soul, he's passed on. But I remember he gave me the opportunity to do a lot. And and at the time, my son, I remember he was like, Mom, I liked it better when you were a teacher. In the heart, right? Because that, you know what that was telling me is like, you work too much.
Yeah.
And then when this amazing individual gave me the opportunity to be his assistant principal, and he would come by my office with his lunchbox, and he'd be like, bye, Jerry, I'm about to leave. And my son, Eric's sitting right there. I'm about to leave. Do you need anything? It'd be like at 3:33. And I'm like, my desk is packed full of
Yeah,
stuff.
what's
No, don't need anything.
I
Bye.
say you were always positive because she would always be like, I have all this work, but you know what? I'm learning every day.
Yeah, learning every day. And so I kind of got us off track there, but you made me think, because little do we know, whether you're an assistant principal, a principal, where you have a supervisor helping to pave the way for you, like everything that comes our way is preparing us for the next opportunity.
Yeah.
And so yours really took care of you in a self-care way. Little did I know, bless his soul, that he was taking care of me. And so do y'all have anything to add to that?
I think growing your people is the biggest thing, because I know that as leaders, we tend to want to do it all. And that's definitely me. You talk about your son. My husband was like, Erika, why are you doing all of these things? Don't you have people under you? You're the principal. And I was like, but I have to have my hand in everything. Like, I don't know if you guys feel that way, but I have to, if I'm going to learn it, I have to see it, I have to touch it. I just have to be hands-on involved. But I also had to learn that if I'm doing everything, then I'm not growing my people. And so really making sure that you have systems in place so that at least once a week you touch base with your people, you're making sure that they're learning, and just like you said, that they know kind of your caliber, your expectation of things, and you start building relationships with your leadership team to where you all have the same goal, and you can trust that the work is going to be done even if you have to walk away, and they're going to do it to the same expectation that you want it, and then also learning kind of like the analogy of, being at home, like me, when I had to be out of the house for so long, sometimes, my husband would wash the dishes and I didn't like the rack where he placed them, the things, but I had to learn, hey, like I can't do the dishes all the time, right? So I have to be okay with where he puts them. So same thing in administration. Sometimes people are going to do things a little bit different than from what we're used to, and we have to learn to be okay with that and embrace it.
We're not in control all the time, right?
We're not in control all the time.
I know, it's hard. It's very hard.